Today I will talk about my craziest ayahuasca experience, and it's so crazy that my estimate is that half of you will simply not believe this happened. But first I want to talk about my previous ayahuasca video. It's called Don't Do Ayahuasca. I'll link it to it below. And I got a lot of hate comments on that one. So I just wanted to answer your comments quickly before we move into my experience. Many of you thought that it was contradictory when I said that ayahuasca was life-changing for me, but that I don't recommend it because some other people have had bad experiences. So the reason why I did that video is because nobody had told me that before. When I researched retreat centers, I looked on all the YouTube videos I could find at the times. Nobody said that there would be risks involved when doing ayahuasca. And if you want to do ayahuasca, that's totally up to you. I am not your mother. And that's why I included tips on how to make the trip as safe as possible in the video. The reason why I felt called to make the video is because it's so trendy right now to do ayahuasca. You need to do it with an experienced shaman. Like Tim Ferriss said in Tools of Titans, treat it as you are removing a brain tumor. Okay, that's the amount of research you want to put in. You wouldn't make your friend take out your tumor for you. No, you would go months and months researching the best hospitals, the best doctors. Same with ayahuasca. The only times that I would do ayahuasca, again, is if I was super sick. I'm not a big fan of Western medicine, to be honest. I would go for plant medicine for sure. Or if I was suicidal. Because if I was suicidal, you have nothing to lose by taking ayahuasca if you are already at the bottom. However, let's say you're not sick, you are not suicidal, you only want to do it because it's a bucket list thing to do in Peru, or you are just curious, you love psychedelics, or you want to deepen your spiritual practice. In these cases, I would not do ayahuasca. You have more to lose than you have to gain. The ironic thing is, yes, you can have an ego death experience on ayahuasca. I did. But it's our ego that craves the sensory experience of doing psychedelics like ayahuasca. Meditation is a much safer option to heal traumas, discover yourself without the risk of schizophrenia, negative entity attachment. But our ego hates meditation. Sure, a vision might pop up now and then, but it doesn't even come close to ayahuasca. So your ego hates meditation. They want to experience, they want to see cool visions, they want to have a trip. That's why we love going traveling, new foods, new cars, new houses, material goods. Like our ego loves all that, to use our senses. And when we meditate, the ego can't do that. So we will try to get you out of the meditation any ways they can, by itching, tiredness. But as you keep doing meditation more regularly, your ego will eventually surrender and your soul will be in control of the ego instead of your soul being the slave to your ego. And this is why so few gurus have actually tried psychedelics. I remember when I was researching ayahuasca, and all the gurus I was following have not even tried ayahuasca. And I was like, why? Well, it's because they don't need it. Okay? Their soul is already in control of their ego. And since their ego is not taking their decisions for them, they don't need epic experiences like psychedelics. So safer alternatives, meditation, yoga. You can do like a yoga teacher certification, immerse yourself in yoga. Also flotation therapy, so to lay in an isolation tank with Epsom salt, and it feels like you're floating and you can't hear anything, you can't see anything. That's also very similar to a psychedelic, but without the nasty side effects. So that's all I wanted to say about that. Just that ayahuasca is not as risk-free as these retreat centers and YouTubers claim. You need to be cautious and treat it as you're removing a brain tumor. Now let's go into my crazy ayahuasca experience. So I took ayahuasca in Peru a few years ago in Iquitos, at Dream Glade. It was a 5-day retreat in the jungle with shamans. My first session, I felt and saw nothing. Nothing happened. Apparently I had lots of blocks. So next day I had to do some kind of steam bath, which cleared things up. And I flew off. My second experience was intense. I saw geometric patterns everywhere, no matter if I was closing my eyes or keeping them open, and I couldn't even see the people. All I saw was gas. I could see like gas figures coming up to me. I was throwing up all the time, purging, and I kept touching my body and just feeling how this is not me. I looked myself into the mirror and I saw, this is just a shell. This is just a shell. I'm not my body. I am immortal. And that was terrifying for me because I was a total skeptic. I was an atheist. I didn't believe in any life after death. I didn't believe in spirits. So it was really terrifying to me that Julia, me, is just temporary. It's just a temporary shell. And when I continue after this life, I will not be taking that with me. It was a really terrifying experience. I had an ego death. And I just tried to hold on to who I thought I was. I panicked. I wanted to have a cold shower. So a facilitator took me to the shower. I had a cold shower, but it didn't work. I had just as many visions. And then when I went to bed that night, I saw ghosts. Call it ghosts, spirits. They were looking at me. Some were males, females, young, old. They were curiously looking at me. I told them in my mind to go away, and when I did, they went away. But that was so scary. It was really difficult to sleep that night because they kept coming up to me, being curious. And apparently this is quite common when you've taken ayahuasca and then just right before sleep, when you're in that in-between state, that spirits can come up to you and show themselves to you. It can be a bit scary, and that's why I recommend that you sleep in the same room as everyone else, so where you took the ayahuasca. And now to the crazy part. Okay, this is where I believe around 50-50 of you will not believe it. So let me know in the comments if you actually believe this story. One of the attendants had his body being taken over by an alien soul. I know this sounds completely crazy. I didn't believe in aliens back then. Now, of course, it's different. Cosmic disclosure is happening. I mean, there are articles in the New York Times, in mainstream media even, are now even hiding the fact they're not calling it weather balloons anymore. They're actually calling it UFOs. And when there's a crash landing, they actually report it instead of just hiding it. Everyone knows aliens exist, aliens come here. But at the time, I was pissing myself. So suddenly, this attendant's body language completely shifted. He started to talk this star language. He howled at the stars. And yeah, it was a beautiful language, but I had never seen anything like that. Everyone in the room freaked out, except the shamans. They've seen everything. It's a being from the planet Sirius. If you know a lot about cosmic disclosure, maybe you've seen Cosmic Disclosure on Gaia with David Wilcock, you know that beings from Sirius, Pleiades, Andromeda, and then there's reptilians, of course. They're all on the planet. They're all helping or not helping, trying to make it worse. But most aliens are benevolent and here to help humanity. And this attendant, he had channeled this being before, but he's only channeled like glimpses. So him talking to him in his ears. But now, when he was on ayahuasca, this being was able to take over his body. I think it was with consent. I think he asked the attendant, the retreat attendant, if he could take over the body. But that was the first time that has actually happened, him taking over the body. And this continued happening throughout the retreat. So for example, one day we had a fire, like a ceremonial fire, and he asked the attendant, "Can I come in for this fire?" And he asked us all if he could come out, and we said, yeah, okay. And then boom, Suddenly, body language different, language different. It was just crazy to see how another soul took over this body. So yeah, anything could happen during ayahuasca. I hope this was helpful. Be cautious if you want to do ayahuasca. Don't just do it at a party. Go to Peru and do it with a real shaman if you are serious about this. And have a beautiful day, and let me know if you have any questions below.